Welcome to week 2 of the Nebula Music Podcast topic review with Sam Blakelock. In these couple of segments, Sam and I are going over some marketing tactics that he's used to help grow all his Instagram accounts to superstardom level. All right, so we're going to go ahead and answer another question this time again with Sam. Again, you are the marketing master. And so last time we answered, how to make a really good video. And so along with making a good video comes something that we all have to get familiar at some point, which is editing. Editing is definitely important when it comes to making great content on social media. And so, and you know what? There's definitely different kinds of editing. There's editing, like high-end editing on your laptop and even easier editing on your phone. So another broad question for you, Sam, but you're the master, so I know you're going to answer it perfectly. How do we go about editing our videos, whether it's through our computer or through a mobile device? What's a good way to do it for beginners?
So I've done a ton of research on apps for mobile phones and also computers, because at the end of the day, it's all about making it easier for yourself. It's about spending as little time as possible and having the highest quality product. I think it was a Casey Neistat video I watched where he talked about gear. If you can imagine a curve, and then on the y-axis it's cost, and then on the x-axis it's quality of video. There's a certain point where the more time and money that you spend, the quality isn't actually going to be that high. So it's finding that nice middle point. And this set of apps I've found has been quite efficient in terms of time and also quite a high quality product. So I use an iPhone. I'll have to check if these work on Android, but I'm sure they do, or there's going to be an equivalent for you. So the actual filming on my iPhone, so often I would just use the native video app, especially if it's a face, like a selfie video. But if I want to step up my game a little bit, I use an app called Filmic Pro. And this is the best video app for your phone. It hacks the phone and you can control the focus, light, frame rate, everything. And actually a full feature-length film was filmed on this app called Tangerine, which won a lot of awards a couple of years ago. And they update it regularly and there's a lot of functionality. And I've actually tweeted those guys and they reply, and are quite a cool team. So that's the app to film, Filmic Pro. I think it's about $15, which is expensive for an iPhone app, but compare it to Premiere Pro or Filmic Pro. On a desktop, it's actually going to deliver that same functionality. It's amazing. You're going to have the functionality of Premiere Pro, but on your phone, so you can edit on the train, in the car, at the bus stop, and it's going to export the video probably just as fast. So I asked those guys at Filmic Pro, what do you recommend editing with? And they told me about this app called LumaFusion, which is also, I think it's around $10 to $20, which is great value because they're always updating it. So LumaFusion is a full editing. You can use sync points, you can color edit, they just added audio editing. It's really incredible and totally worth checking out. Even if it's as simple as cropping a video, often there's these $2 to $4 apps. I have about 5 of them, which are kind of for playing with or creating funny videos with. This is a serious video editing app, LumaFusion, and you can do basic stuff as well as more sophisticated edits. The third part of my workflow is Visco. So they just released a video part of this app. So you can color grade videos with the same grades as you could previously cover images with. So it's incredible, the quality of them, and they're a lot better than the Instagram grading. And actually just this week they upgraded it, so now you can save your presets, so you can just apply them to all your videos. You can have a consistent color across all your videos, so when you look back on your Instagram library page, or whatever you call it, everything's going to have a consistency, which is important. So Filmic Pro, LumaFusion, Visco, those are the 3. How about you, man? What do you use?
You know what? For me, when it comes to editing, I primarily edit on my desktop, which is something we'll get to in a little bit. But I have gotten some questions because of the podcast that I run. I do a lot of graphics and a lot of pictures that go along with my videos, to edit that stuff. So I have a list of apps that I use to edit photos and make some really cool, like promotional stuff. And for anyone else out there that wants to make like quotes or, a cool like graphic that is about to, say, hey, coming soon, this new video, definitely get these next couple of apps because they're very useful. The first one, if you haven't heard of it yet, is called WordSwag, which allows you to take any picture, any snapshot that you've taken, and it just has a million fonts and really cool ways to organize that onto your phone. So you can get really professional looking photos that look like a professional artist made it for you. Like, I'm pretty sure if you go on Instagram and you see a lot of those pictures of advertisements or like a famous Instagrammer and they're advertising something, I guarantee you they made it with WordSwag, and it cost about $5. Pretty mid tier when it comes to an app, but it's 100% worth it. To edit some of my videos, I use InShot, which is not as effective as LumaFusion. Highly recommend getting LumaFusion, but InShot is definitely a little bit more of a streamlined version. It has more of the bare essentials of what you need. So if by any chance, maybe LumaFusion or any of the other editing apps are a little too difficult for you to handle, InShot is definitely a good alternative. It just has the bare essentials, which is like cropping, rotating your video, increasing the volume, that kind of thing, which is just bare essentials and super quick. And the last one is Photo Candy, which goes along with WordSwag. Again, this is for making really cool photos for promotional stuff. It goes way beyond WordSwag. WordSwag is primarily heavy on the fonts. You can get really, really nice fonts. Photo Candy lets you do a lot of things, almost Photoshop status on your phone. Obviously, Photoshop is better, but Photo Candy lets you just have a million types of designs for your photo. So you can literally take a picture of you holding your guitar, and with Photo Candy, you can do like a million bajillion things creatively wise to it. So those are things for promotional stuff with your pictures. I think what Sam suggested for videos is 100% on point.
I use InShot as well, and I totally recommend it. The price is lower, it's simpler, and I do use it as well. So I totally agree with you on that.
Awesome. And so let's actually get into a little bit of the desktop apps, because I know there's some of us that use like DSLRs and actually use higher or want to edit on our desktop. So what stuff do you use?
So I use Adobe Creative Cloud. I think it's $50 a month, and I get access to all the suite. So for video, it's Premiere Pro. I know some people use Filmic Pro, but I'm often researching what vloggers use and people use. And most people I see is Premiere Pro. And the reason is because it syncs up with all the other programs. So yeah, Premiere Pro, I love it. And the big part that I love about it is there's this other app called Adobe Encoder, Media Encoder. So you can actually store up a bunch of videos and export them while you continue editing another video, and then you can export those videos overnight or while you're out of work. So if you have, like, let's say 8 videos, 1 minute clip, maybe they only take 15 minutes to export, you can store those up. I'm sure you can do that with the equivalent in Final Cut. What do you use?
I'm on the same boat that you are in. I'm a huge Adobe guy. I use all the apps. I'm on the Creative Cloud too. Guys, I highly recommend, if you guys are interested in editing, it's highly advisable for you to get Creative Cloud, because it only really is about $50 a month, but you get access to all the software that Adobe has to offer. And I'm talking about Illustrator, Photoshop, InDesign, like all stuff that you can just mess around with. I think Flash is even in there. I know you may not be interested in that, but highly recommend it. Premiere Pro is just, to me, it's the go-to for video editing. It's a little hard to get used to at first, especially if you're a Mac user. For Mac users, I highly recommend either iMovie or Final Cut. Final Cut is a little difficult to get used to as well, but Premiere Pro is like the equivalent, is the PC equivalent of Final Cut, in my opinion. But let's just say that you cannot afford Premiere Pro, then definitely I highly recommend Windows Movie Maker. I know it's very basic and you cannot do much with it, but if you're just using your iPhone stuff or maybe your camera stuff and you just need to just put like a couple clips together, definitely don't put down Windows Movie Maker. It's good for what it is, but if you have the money to spend on Premiere Pro, highly recommend it. Great software.
One thing to add, Eddie, to that is something that I heard a guy, which convinced me to get Adobe Creative Cloud, to justify that $50, which can seem a lot if you're a musician. But what this guy said was, if you're not making $50 through your creative output, then something's not right. $50 is not much to make a month to justify paying for a suite of tools, which you can easily learn through YouTube tutorials and really boost the quality of your product.
Absolutely. I completely agree. And it's worth the investment. I think both me and Sam are in agreement with that, because it'll expand what you can do. Once you have those tools at your disposal, you can kind of just sit there and think about it. All right, I maybe want to learn how to make my guitar explode. Well, guess what? With Creative Cloud, you have After Effects, and you can actually learn how to make it explode on a video. So super lucrative example, but it's there and it's 100% advisable for you to get it. And so, in terms of editing techniques, are there any specific examples, Sam, that you might want to give a beginner or someone, like maybe there's someone that you're a fan of how they edit their videos that you may want to give an example of?
So on Instagram specifically, actually, editing is probably the least important thing compared to lighting, video, sound, what you're playing. But there are a lot of people now who are like innovating and really doing interesting things and really getting a lot of engagement and views. These two guys, just check out if you want to get some inspiration. One is Ruben Wan. He's a guitar player out of LA. And you might have seen him because he has pandas in all his videos, but his editing is super on point. He also produces it really well. Also, there's this young dude out in London. I just featured him today on Pickup Jazz. His name's Matt Zara. And his editing, his production, and his color grading is really incredible. He's only like at 1,000 or something, but he's easily going to get to 10,000 with that high quality product because it's super engaging. I think he's already got 35,000 views in a couple of hours on my page, and he got about 800 followers in 3 hours just from me featuring him because of the quality of his video.
Impressive. And you know what, guys? I think when it comes to, you're absolutely right, Sam, when it comes to Instagram, it's one of those things where for its entire existence, editing wasn't ever really the focal point of Instagram. But now Instagram has become almost like the main source where a lot of musicians go. So I do believe that editing will play more of a role in the next couple of years. And so I think it is wise for anyone listening to look into some of these guys and what they're doing. If you're a drummer listening, it's a little harder to edit stuff. I get it, because you're just sitting behind an instrument that doesn't move. But there's some really cool guys that are doing some cool stuff. There's guys called Cyrus Vasily, who's really, these guys that I'm about to suggest, they really just do stuff on iPhone. So it's definitely good for anyone that's just starting out. Cyrus Vasily, he's from Sweden. Stan Bignell from Australia, and Tosh Peterson from the US, who just uses GoPros. And so these three guys are a great example of what could be achieved with just one recording device. They do different angles and they do different positions, but they just use it raw, and they do really well with it. And so if you're a beginner and you're a drummer, or maybe it's just someone else looking for that very just raw approach, those three guys are definitely some to look into in terms of editing. This has been a Nebula Music Podcast and Pickup Jazz topic review. I hope that you found this very useful, and definitely tune in next week, because we will continue going over more details that will help you push your career forward using social media and other creative ways.